Arlington police say 21 documented gang members are behind bars now following a years-long investigation with the FBI. They all range in age from 18 to their early 20s. The arrests happening in Arlington, Fort Worth, and Dallas, all the way out to Forney. During the news conference, police claim a deadly shooting at Bowie High School in Arlington last year was related to gang activity.
In 2024, for example, Kiccdoe members robbed and assaulted an individual at gunpoint. Detectives later determined that the deadly shooting that occurred at Bowie High School was in retaliation to that incident.
17 of the 21 arrested face federal racketeering charges. The FBI says the investigation is not over.
Nigga 600 block, if you spin it, you won't make it back. Nigga 600 block.
Welcome back to Trap News. Today, we are taking a dark, unfiltered look into the dangerous streets of Arlington, Texas, where a ruthless local syndicate thought they owned the city until the federal government completely erased them from the map. There is no internet hype or unverified hearsay in this report. We are pulling straight from the unsealed federal dockets out of the Northern District of Texas. A massive, multi-year federal task force operation has officially concluded, completely dismantling the notorious Kiccdoe Street Gang, also known as the 600 Set, in a shocking turn of events that has sent shockwaves through the entire Lone Star State. All 21 members and young enforcers of this organization just walked into a federal courtroom and signed guilty pleas to massive RICO racketeering charges. The FBI has officially unsealed the final paperwork, and the reality is cold. The group's lead hitters are now trading the blocks for mandatory life sentences and maximum security federal isolation. To understand why this case hits so hard, you have to look at the street rhythms and the actual reputation of the Kiccdoe hierarchy. In the Arlington underground, these dudes weren't known as basic block hustlers or internet clout chasers. They were looked at as straight steppers who completely monopolized local distribution lines and terrorized rival sets. They claimed territory across major sections of the city, originating right off the 600 block of East Arkansas Lane, and used heavy enforcement to back up their names. If a rival group stepped onto their blocks, the response wasn't a county jail fistfight, it was instant tactical hardware. They actively used that heavy reputation to recruit young kids from local high schools like Bowie High, putting high-capacity weapons in their hands and giving them an ultimate crash-out blueprint before they even had a driver's license. But when the feds came down with the heavy RICO sweep, the street code of silence instantly evaporated into thin air. Dudes who claimed they were 100% real and ready to die for the set completely folded once they were sitting in absolute isolation. The unsealed federal documents show the exact moment the internal pressure caused the whole infrastructure to fracture. The FBI had been silently logging intercepted wiretaps, encrypted text messages, and exact cell tower pings for years. When the defense attorneys showed these young hitters the paperwork, proving the feds had them dead to rights with an unstoppable mountain of evidence, the self-preservation kicked in. Dudes who had heavy names for being wild on the block immediately signed on the dotted line to save themselves from a concrete box. The raw paperwork details the exact, brutal mechanics of how these hits were executed. We aren't just talking about random drive-bys. The FBI files outline a specific, cold-blooded broad daylight execution by the gang's premier shooter, Chauncey Ross, who was officially slapped with a life sentence in June 2026. Ross tracked down his target and opened fire, taking a life in cold blood and callously injuring a young woman who was desperately trying to shield her infant child. Instead of showing remorse, Ross immediately went to a recording studio and laid down a rap song bragging about the literal mechanics of the murder. In another verified hit on the 10th of March, a Kiccdoe shooter named Cortez Atkinson initiated a chaotic gang shootout in the parking lot of the Arbrook Park Apartments. Atkinson and his crew unleashed a hail of gunfire, sending a stray round tearing straight through the walls of a nearby apartment, striking a 13-year-old girl while she was asleep in her bedroom. Dudes like Sir James McWilliams and Jalen Jishon Franklin were documented running drive-by shooting sprees targeting rival homes, with Franklin explicitly dropping photos of targets' houses straight into the gang's group chat to coordinate the drops. Under federal RICO law, executing or plotting these homicides to advance your gang rank carries an automatic mandatory life sentence, which is exactly why the top tier of this organization is completely finished. The ultimate downfall of the organization came down to pure digital clout chasing. The indictment explicitly notes how these young enforcers would use the group chat functions on Instagram to plot murders, trade firearms, and document their distribution routes. Dudes like Raphael O'Pare and Keyshawn Burton were actively on the phones, using encrypted chats to talk about their gang ranks, coordinate drug operations, and explicitly plot the assassination of rival gang members in retaliation for the high-profile April 2024 slaying of Tavian Barnes at Bowie High School. They even posted text warnings to each other inside the app telling members to stay off social media so they wouldn't get hit with a federal RICO case. But the addiction to online status was too strong. They kept talking, kept filming, and the FBI's cybercrime unit logged every single keystroke, converting their group chats directly into Exhibit A in a federal courtroom. The fallout from this federal sweep has completely cleared out the Arlington underground. The constant stream of regional drill videos, neighborhood intimidation, and block flexing has ground to an absolute halt because anyone who even stood near the Kiccdoe hierarchy is now sitting in a federal holding cell. The government proved once again that no matter how organized, feared, or popular a local crew becomes, the federal system plays a game that cannot be beaten. When you look past the internet commentary and look at the real facts, the collapse of the Kiccdoe gang leaves behind a heavy, unmistakable warning. The fast life on the streets carries a strict, unforgiving ceiling. You can run a city for a couple of seasons, build a massive name, and think you're an untouchable street lord. But the paper trail is always building right behind you. The streets promise loyalty and a cinematic rise. But the unsealed federal documents prove that self-preservation wins every single time, and it always concludes with a mandatory life sentence in absolute isolation. Drop a comment below with your take on this Texas takedown. Did the feds get it right by sweeping the entire block at once? Or is the system moving too aggressively on these young crews? Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and stay locked in for the next deep dive into the real, raw history of the streets right here on Trap News.